rather have my brother go to fucking California and never talk to us again. Like, just do that. Why did you think you needed to do that? And people just, and the one thing, one of the most recent things I've really learned, it's not about what you've seen in the past. It's what you can't see in the future that causes you freaking depression. Because you just don't see a good future version of yourself. Like, I've been through freaking some bad breakups, and you just can't see a different future. You're like, I was supposed to be with her though. Like everything, you already pictured it, married, kids, dog. Like you already envisioned it, that it's so hard to just go, ugh. Like, but that's all it really took. It's because your perspective is that your future is, you're going to be a loser and without her. Like, that's it. There's with her, this is without her. Yep. And so you're scared, you're depressed, you're never going to find anyone because that was the one. But if I had told you today, or, right from your breakup, oh, dude, I'm from the future, you're actually going to be with the one like 100 times better. You wouldn't even go through depression or anything. You're like, really? Oh, all right. Awesome. So when you can actually see a future version of yourself, that's where it kind of starts. And the thing is, what does the present you, what are you going to do? All your decisions follow your perspective. When you think you're a loser, I'm telling you, everything will follow. When you think you can do it, everything will follow that way too. And so that's what happens all the time.
Could you tell us more about your relationship with your brother? What was it like back when he was alive? What were some of the things that were going on? Because a lot of times suicide is very hidden because there's a lot of shame around that. Did you get any hints? Was it sudden? What was it like? Could you just tell the story of like your relationship and leading up to what happened?
Yeah. So when I'm from the Philippines. I came here when I was about 10. What's funny is I didn't really get to know him as well as I should have, because he moved here first, went back to the Philippines, and then we all came here. So there was that, when you're young, it's kind of a huge gap, and especially because he was the eldest. I'm number 4 in the family. So the gap, obviously, we didn't get to hang out, or when I turned 21 is, when he was gone. So we didn't get to really go out to the bars. That's the only time you become equals, is when you can go out to the bars together, right? So before that, I didn't really I saw him more like a dad figure. So to me, almost all of my brothers and stuff like that, I believe, at least, this is my own perspective on the whole thing. It was my parents, definitely. When people say signs and stuff, it was more like, I knew it. That's really what it was, because I'm just like, my dad is one of those people that had that, he's just never proud of anything. And only later did I learn that it was like, because I just understood him. But let's talk about how I was feeling then, because that's kind of where we want to go. We really want to get there, right? He was just so bad for the soul, your self-esteem, your life, everything. Like, he was just so good at making you feel like shit. Like, all of us. Not just me, and then he's nice to this. No. The fucked up part is that he was the most charismatic person outside of our freaking family. Everyone loved him, and we could see why. We're like, well, ain't that some shit? We don't get that. So it was really tough. And not only that, it wasn't just my dad, it was my mom. So I learned more and more about them. I mean, this is after, but let's go back. Sorry, I keep going with what I've already known.
No, it's all interconnected. I'm glad you're laying the foundations, because it's all layered, and it's all relevant. So I'm
cool.
glad you're laying it down.
Okay, cool. So when I'm looking at it, I'm just like, my mom was just in love with my dad. He was just bad. Cheated on her. Like, he was just a bad person, you know? They fought all the time. It's one of those times I'm glad I actually had my brother sister, because I feel bad for the ones that only have, that are no siblings. That's tough to deal with by yourself. So, anyone that's out there, I get it, man. That would be tough. But when you have brothers to fuck around with, they're fighting. It's like, oh well, let's just keep playing. Like, they're fighting. As long as I'm not the one getting beat up, or I'm good. But it didn't really. It was years, man. I mean, years just seeing this. It was to the point like she would complain to us, and I'm just like, and this is what we would tell my mom. I'm like, what do you want us to do? You can tell me all the negative stuff. That's still my dad. Like, you break up with him then. Like, I can't break up with him. He's always my dad. Like, so we knew that at the time. It was funny enough. All my brothers and I, because I guess we were just so close to each other, whatever. It was kind of, actually, no, let me go back. I lived with my grandma and my uncles. So he didn't get along with my uncles and all that stuff, but he used this as an excuse to not be around. So he lived like somewhere else because, it was just, and he's working in New York, so he can't stay there and this and that, whatever. We were young, so they didn't really tell us what happened, right? So anyway, but he used it to do his thing, being a bad dad, being a bad husband, basically. But because of that, we had my uncles. We didn't really miss them. We're lucky that we had our uncles there. They became our daddy figure. Like, they made us little ninjas. They made us, pretended we're in the army and stuff, made us do push-ups and stuff like that. And, it was just fun, like, that's how we learned, actually not too much about cars, but, but that's where we kind of learned. But it was funny, but we didn't really miss him because he wasn't around. Obviously on holidays, big families. Well, not him. So it became like, but it went to the point that our relationship with my other family members has diminished big time, because my mom would say, okay, let's stay home, even though there's Christmas here with the family. Let's just stay home because where's dad gonna go? So she's in love. It's like, oh, we'll just go here. But really, it was just like, if we don't go there, well, you can't go to your girls. Like, that's what's happening. So it was like a tactic to like, well, you better be here for your kids. But Christmases, like, we never knew. We never know what was happening on Christmas. We never knew. So that was my upbringing. And it's not like, and we went through, welfare and all this stuff. We moved out of my grandmother's place and all that stuff. Actually, we ended up buying the house, went through bankruptcy and all that stuff. When you're young, you don't really care about what bankruptcy is and this and that. But we're learning like kind of bad habits. And, I learned that now. Like, what I learned afterwards, when I look at my dad, the reason it didn't really hurt me so much is because I just kind of understood. Like, not understood, but I tried to understand them. No one plans to be evil. No one. Telling you right now. No one goes, you know what, I can't wait to this kid, I can't wait to be a real dick to this one. Oh yeah, all day, every day, for the rest of his life. No one. So why does that happen? I tell people we're all just puppies. We're just puppies. There's things that you have, the traits, the behavioral traits that you have that you didn't plan on getting from your parents, but you do. How? Even when you hate them, you get them, right? You see this all the time. And so you get these traits and you become who you are. One of the ways we figure this out is kind of like when people complain about pit bulls. Oh, they're bad. I'm like, no, they're not. The parents suck. Like, the owners. They're beating the shit out of it or something. I don't know what they're doing, but pit bulls are sweet as hell when they're good.
Yep.
So it's not about that, right? And it was always about, oh, nature, nurture. And I figured out from there, like, it's not about nature versus nurture. It's how do you nurture nature, right? It's kind of like, I have a husky. So the husky is he's freaking crazy. Just a wacko. right? In today's society, if my puppy was human, I would go, here's some fucking Ritalin, calm down, right? Oh my God, the husky, it's crazy. They call it ADHD in human form. Oh, yeah, ADHD. Let's get a doctor. Oh my God, pills. Imagine giving my dog pills because she's a husky.
Mm,
Insanity.
it is.
Insanity, right? But what do we do with huskies or like wild, like energetic dogs? Take them for a freaking walk. Take them for a run, something. So these ADHD kids, dude, play soccer. Go wrestle. Stop playing video games because you're just like this, doing absolutely nothing, not exerting any energy. I bet you, just like my dog, if I made you run and I made you wrestle and do all these chores, you're going to sleep. Definitely. Just like a Blizzy would, my dog, my puppy. So anyway, when I learned that, I'm just like, oh, we're just puppies. I learned that my dad was a puppy at a certain point in time also. He's the bad pit bull. I don't know what happened with his dad, but no one plans to be that way. No one. So I'm like, I wonder what happened to him. So, when you go growing up, you kind of see this more. So I'm saying this so that people that are watching, it's like, dude, you have to look at your parents. They're not doing this on purpose. And to you, like, why are they to me? Like, no, that's just the way they are, not to you. It's just the way they were brought up. Something happened. It's their perspective on everything. So the relationship with my dad sucked balls. And at the same time, he made you feel like shit. It was bad. He never went to any of our wrestling meets. I was in gymnastics, never saw any, not one. Not one. And I was in the freaking finals in wrestling, like not one. So, but we never really missed him because we just kind of put it out there like, why miss him? It's only harming. It's only going to harm me. There's no reward for wanting them to. If he comes, I'd be stoked. But if he doesn't, he doesn't. So we kind of built that resiliency, that like, no, don't need it. But
Now,
obviously,
question, Ricardo.
yeah,
Since you were the fourth child, you said?
yeah.
So were you in some ways, I would say, not the word insulated, but you could see the brunt of the abuse happening to your elder brother?
Yes. The reason I say yes is because the way at least our family ran, I'm not going to say it's a Filipino culture thing, but kind of. What they treat it like corporate ladder style. When number 4 fucks up, 3, 2, 1 gets in trouble. When 3 fucks up, 3, 2, 1 gets in trouble. When it just goes up the ladder. If it's because you didn't take care of your siblings, so you're at fault also. So imagine 5 boys, 1 girl. It's a lot of faults about to happen all the way to the top. So he got the most of it. And what sucked is because he felt so, he didn't feel that connection because he moved here first. I don't know how he was with my uncles. He was separated from his freaking family. Like, and it was my grandmother that decided, hey, he should stay here. Yeah, it was good for him, whatever, but it was also bad for him. It wasn't worth it to feel that way. He felt he was neglected. My mom gave him up kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that can take a toll when you're like, love, man. Like when you don't get that.
How old was he when he immigrated?
28.
28, okay.
28. So I was 21. I may have been the last person to see him. So when I saw him, this is like, I was renting a place. I was 21. Comes over. He's got this freaking suit on. He's like, yo, I'm about to meet up with some girls, blah, blah, blah. I need some socks. He wanted dress socks. It's like, I don't have any. He's like, all right, cool, sweet. So he puts it on. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Yo, dude, can you drop me off? I'm going to meet these girls at the Holiday Inn. And we're going to go to New York from there. Here, drive my truck and just, keep it, whatever. He was basically trying to give it to me. And then when that happened, basically, I just dropped him off, not realizing anything. I'm just going like, all right, he's in a suit. He's meeting up with some girls. I'm not going to think anything, right? And he wasn't like depressed about it, obviously. This is when people say that all the time, like, I don't understand. There was nothing wrong because they had already made the decision. Because you have to understand, when they look at the suicide, they see it as the cure. They see it as the cure to the pain. So, finally. And once they decide, it's kind of like when you have a bad boyfriend. I challenge you right now to decide that you want to break up with him, even though you're still with him. Man, you can breathe a lot better. They're less annoying, all that stuff. The guy's going to go, I didn't think anything was wrong. Because you're so happy, you're like, he didn't bother you anymore. You're already looking for another boyfriend. You're just planning your, how you're going to leave. They don't notice anything. And that's what happens with suicidal people. People go like, oh, I didn't see any signs. I know, because he was happy as fuck. Like, because he decided, oh, I'm going to be good. So I didn't see that. He was ready to party, hang out with girls and all this stuff. But it was a couple of days later. I was actually working. I get the phone call. And, my brother is the one that told me, like, yo, he just committed suicide. And I'm like, oh. And the thing is, it didn't go like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. No, it was just like, oh, you did it? Fuck. God damn it. Like, and we knew why. We can't say anything, It's that respect. We were brought up to respect elders and this. You can't go like, fuck you, Dad. How about you? Like, we didn't do Breakfast Club on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just kind of went, well, that sucks. All right. And he didn't learn. Didn't learn. Perspective stayed the same. It was just resentment. He could have had life so differently because we were all good kids too. But no one saw it from the outside. And that's how my mom would go nuts, because people would complain about my dad, but they're going like, he's awesome. You're weird. So she's going, no, you don't understand. Like, he's crazy. She was even telling us that, like, no, your dad is this. And we're just like, all right, he is. But what do you want us to do about it? Break up with him? Like, there's nothing we can do. So my brother, as being the eldest, was just feeling more, the self-esteem, man. Like, you're just destroying this dude. You know what I mean? My mom is telling him all of her issues. You make him want to kill someone that he can't kill. What do you think it's all going, all that pain? Like, you're transferring your pain to him, which is unfair, and he had to take it because it's my mom. Mm-hmm. He just took it. He never yells at my dad. I've never seen him fight with my dad ever in my life. Could have fucked him up, but never did. He never talked back, ever. We were just brought up that way. And that's why I don't understand my dad, like, wow, you guys never yelled at you? Nope. Maybe when I got older, but my brothers, no. But yeah, it sucked for him, and it's one of those things that kind of, I don't know what it is, growing up, people would just say like, that I'm going to be the one. I was just a smiley dude, and people just kind of looked at me like I'm going to do something. And I don't know, like you said, like, how was I not affected so much? Because my family got affected, I'm trying my best to help them out. Like, we're in chaos right now because both my parents are gone. So, and other family members, we don't really have connections with them. Like, because of all the past Christmases that we never had together, it lost the bond. So it's kind of weird for us to invite ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. If we get invited, yeah, we'll go, obviously, but it doesn't really happen. So we're just kind of alone, just siblings. And we're trying our best, but the effects of and it all stemmed from my dad, And I have no anger. I never really did. That's what's weird. Some of the siblings have a different perspective on that. So, and it hurts them more. It's just, and this is actually, I guess I'll mention it. One of the things, it's not because I understood him, it's because I fucking forgave him.
Mm.
One of the biggest things people do, man, when they get into really bad feelings like that, when they're really depressed, a lot of times it's forgiveness. But more important than forgiving someone, sometimes people get into crazy this to, and they can't forgive themselves. And that's where my brother was at. Never forgave him, and he never forgave himself for being where he's at. You know, he felt like a loser. He didn't have a career. He didn't go to college. He did, you know, it was just like, and then my mom would need help. So he goes back to work. He couldn't go to college. Like, you know, we had that like, oh, we can't afford college. None of us thought we were going to go to college. We were all smart. But I didn't know anything about college. The only reason I went, my friend said, hey, there's this like, um, you can get a scholarship, blah, blah, blah. What's your grades? I went to a county college first. And I'm like, no, my GPA is pretty good. It's above the 3. What's up? Yeah, text us out. You can get a thing. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I did it. I'm like, oh, you got accepted. I'm like, oh, no shit. Wait, I can go? No. And then we went to a freaking expensive one. I'm like, I had no idea. I could have just gone to Rutgers for like 20. Oh my God. It was like 25% of the cost, you know? I went to Fairleigh Dickinson. They call it Fairly Ridiculous, you know? And because of the prices and stuff. But, you know, I ended up going. Not because my dad, not because my mom, they didn't really, like, why didn't you do that to all of us? Like, no one pushed us. And it was just by mistake. I didn't go to college because like, oh, I can't wait to go to college. It was just like, all right, well, I have my, you know, you only go 2 years at a county. So it's like, all right, I guess next step, why not? And then so that happened. But, you know, I really felt bad for my brother. It sucked, you know, like, but I know where it comes from. I knew, we all know. There's no one in the siblings, none of us are going like, you think?
Mm.
Not one. All of us. But what's funny is none of us are alcoholics. None of us ever went to drugs. Like we really never did. Yeah, you know, there's some fuck ups, I guess. Bad behaviors, I guess. You know, but we never really got into it, and we're all just good people. No one ever robbed anything. You know, no one got um, dangerous. But that's where I learned it only takes one to give that love. You know, when you get that love from at least one, because he was not really there, but we got it from my mom. Like a lot of this stuff, it was from my mom, the way I cared, the way I do for people, because he didn't do that. So I didn't, you know, obviously he wasn't the sample of that. He did it everywhere else with, you know, away from us. But you only really need one. That's why you see, it's not necessarily about this, like, you know, people are saying the single motherhood thing is the problem and all this. It definitely hurts when you don't have father figures. But you see this in movies and stuff all the time where mom is single, dude becomes this awesome guy. And it's just really the love. And it's really what you teach the kid, period. Like, period. What did you instill in the kid? What kind of perspectives does this kid have? When there's this story in this book where this guy basically grew up, you know, like he went to jail and all that stuff, but he ended up freaking like neurosurgeon, Harvard kind of person, you know? Like he just had this perspective that kind of like we did, like we're poor, we're never going to go anywhere. You know, we weren't meant to be this, but we were, you know, my brother, he could have been freaking my 2 oldest brothers. Like they totally were smart. They're not dumb. Like, why didn't they get to go? But we just thought like we can't afford college. So you just don't go. So, you know, but when you have those self-limiting beliefs, it really hurts you. I don't know what the hell my problem was. I just kind of, I don't know. I didn't believe it. I just saw something else. I just saw a future version, you know, of myself. Like I just kind of keep going with this brand here. You know how many times I should have quit that? But I just can't not see a good result. So it's just like, what's the worst case scenario? I was like, well, I'll just go back to work like everyone else, like everyone else, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, it was just like, well, what's the big deal? You know, and then the nonprofit. But, you know, my wife has been at least for now, I know we're kind of going back and forth in time here. Present tense, like she is like, oh, my admiration for, she's actually right here, but my admiration for her, this better get 10 points. The admiration for her is so high because she really, oh man, she's so fucking good at this. Before I met her, she was in a 16-year relationship. She was my high school sweetheart. We met in 5th grade. We went to the prom together, all that stuff, right? I kept her high school notes, still have it. When we met again, we were both actually in different relationships. So, but I just told myself, because it happened we only met one time between the 16 years. And I was with an ex-girlfriend. I didn't pursue her, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Next time I'm going to do that. Because look, it didn't even work out anyway. So anyway, we met up again, talked to each other. But I didn't think I had any chance. I just wanted to meet up with her again and see what's up. She had a very luxurious lifestyle. I mean, 105-foot yacht with a freaking crew, chef, where she could just be like, eggs Benedict, like, really? You just wake up and I still ask her questions like, damn, really? That's so insane. Lamborghinis, multiple freaking cars, the fancy cars, mansion. Oh, I have one in Florida. Like, really? Like, what? So, and she left all that and she didn't take all the shit. She says that money doesn't buy you happiness. It can get you expensive misery. And she's such a freaking great example. When I was doing my clothing line, or, still am, like, she's actually working right now. This is people who are complaining about, like, oh man, that don't want to live your means and trying to pretend, oh, let me buy this $500 jacket and $100 shoes. You guys are idiots. This is a woman that had it all, and she was shopping at Walmart. Okay. Target. Not Walmart. Target. So yeah, right. Big difference. So she was going to Target, and she's working with me at these freaking events. I'm talking just behind a table with freaking clothing and just talking to people about this. They don't know where she's been. They have no clue, and she just handles it. She handles it. She bartends part-time. She just doesn't tell anyone, but when she hears things, she's like, huh, that's funny. Talking about yachts because she lived, where she's at. And she's just like, oh, that's funny. Mine was bigger, but cool. But she never brings it up like, oh, I wish I had this. So it really wakes me the fuck up. Like, who are you to think you need to have all this shit? I'd love to experience it. So that's the goal. I'd love to give it back to her. So that's why we're doing all these things. But the pursuit, right? But she never, I'm talking like she's the type on her knees, like cleaning shit. She cooks for me every day. Always has to ask me, like, what would you want for dinner? So I'm spoiled as hell. Like, but this is someone that had it all, where she was the one but even when she had the money, she just never did that. And she's willing to work at a gas station if, let's say, the COVID and all that, she's willing to do that. How many people do you know complain about the simplest things because their pride might get a little hurt? Like, who are you to think that when I see someone that came from here, not here, And so that's, to me, that helps me all the time. And all it is the perspective. Nothing's changed in my situation. But sometimes my perspective will change to like, like you get disappointed and this and that. And then there's this girl that's just like, and then it just kicks my ass. I go, who the hell am I to think, oh, my life? Like, dude, you were on welfare when you were growing up. Shut the hell up. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You have a house, wife, this, that, puppies, cats. Like, you're good. So that's kind of, where I'm at. And I just learned so much talking to like thousands of people. And you just listen and listen. And really all you want to do is you got to come up with a consistent philosophy on your things. And, that's where I started learning, the steps. We kind of talked about it a little bit, the whole purpose and all that stuff.
Let's talk about, I definitely hear that you have done two things that kind of distinguished your path from, let's say, because you and your brother lived in the same household, different experiences, obviously, because of the
Yeah.
time gap, the age gap,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
still similar experiences. And what I hear is that that component of forgiveness is huge. By
Yeah.
having empathy with, like, all this abusive behavior, your dad's dad must have been XYZ, right? To have
Right. Right.
created that kind of toxic behavior, and then
Yeah.
passing it down to your brother. But then you had
Right.
an anchor. Your anchor's your mom, at that time. So it created some kind of, just even a little bit, I
Yeah.
mean, nobody's perfect, like you said, but you
Mhm.
had a feminine, positive role model. And I feel like it's reflective of, who you attracted today as
Yeah.
as a woman who is a doer and believes, and is just like really
Yeah.
strong and anchors too. So I feel like you definitely hung on to the silver lining and focused on that and expanded it. Whereas I felt like, I mean, obviously I don't know your brother, but I feel like, you know, given a shift in perspective for your brother, it's almost as if all these interviews you've been having and all the things that you've been preaching and talking about and coaching is
Yeah.
as if you wanted to talk to your brother. It's as if you were like going
Like
back,
this is what he
like what you
needed.
would have told your
Right.
brother, like
Right.
the days before he,
Right. Yeah.
he gave you the truck. So it's
Yeah.
almost like all those things you wanted to say to him, you said it inside Start Date One.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense because because I look back and that's the only way, right? So I'm like learning and I, I'm just learning really, like figuring out like what happened because I'm just I always try to solve problems, like, well, how would you solve that? How would that go about? Well, if you had this mindset, had this perspective, it would have been this and that. And every time, it was like every time someone does that, it's like, oh, like, why did you think that was end of the line? Like, kind of like Titanic, right? Rose was ready to jump. And he asked her, he's like, what made you think there was no way out? When you're in pursuit of happiness, it's all about your decisions. But how do you make the right decisions? You have to keep it in line first with your purpose. Your purpose gives you the why are you even trying to decide something on this anyway, right? Sometimes your purpose might not resonate. Your purpose is you want to be write a book and really change people's lives, right? Just like you did. But your perspective is I don't have the time, I don't have this. Well, that's not in line for that purpose, right? So that's why the purpose is so necessary. It's going to change your perspective even more. But sometimes you need inspiration. When you hear a story of someone like, well, I did this, did that, 50 kids, then that, and I wrote a book. You're going to go, oh, really? All of a sudden you change your perspective in your situation. Like, well, I can do that too. I can do this. Oh, I can write a book. So the inspiration helps change your perspective. That's the only thing that inspiration really does. That's the only goal of an inspiration. And then you're able to that's where the power of decision comes into play. So it's purpose, perspective, and then the power of this decision. Once you decide, that's the only time motivation or goals come into play. Motivation does not come before the decision. That's why when you see people try to motivate and they just basically get angry, right? When you went through your breakup, come on, Minji, come on, let's go outside, let's go. And you're just like, oh my God, you're annoying. You're so annoying. Your perspective hasn't changed yet. You haven't made a decision yet. Once you make that decision, then motivation is like, yo, let's go out to the bars. You know what? Let's go out to the bars. Because I'm ready. Like, I've made my mind. Like, I made the decision that, yeah, I'm going to find someone better. Like, my perspective is all good. And that's when motivation comes in, goals come in. You can't make a goal about something you don't know what to achieve on.
It has to do with the decision first.
Yeah. Yep.
And once you make the decision, the
And
universe, like quantum physics, will align by your free will, by the free will of choice. And does it even matter? Okay, so the second component to your revelation is it's not based on feelings either. You can still do something and then the feeling will change, but at the time you could still be depressed and go to the gym.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's okay. It's when you stay somewhere and it's not in line with your purpose. Like when you have a purpose perspective and you're going, but then there's a breakup that was unexpected or a death in a family. Like I don't expect I better just change my perspective and all of a sudden it's not going to bother me. Like, no, you kind of have to get depressed. So this is kind of this is my thought on the whole thing, right? Depression, anxiety, happiness, those are all emotions. Those are emotional responses to your perspectives, really.
I hear that free will, the freedom of choice of your sovereign human choice, free will, just think free will, which you call making a decision.
Yeah.
Okay? Free will equals making a decision.
Yeah.
Free will and same thing, AKA making a decision, is independent of circumstances and feelings. Because once you make it, the universe will align.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, because it's like, and it's not that it can't affect you, it's just that the future is more important, than the past. It's just that it's really the future that affects you,
Well,
and then
we only have free will in the present. We can't go back, we can't go in the future. All we have is right now.
What we mean when we say this, because I think we're definitely on the same wavelength, right? When you take that away, it's really, it does, what's the reverse of being empowered, right? It just takes away.
It's the same thing you were saying about deflecting responsibility.
Accountability, right.
If you blame, then you have no power. You have no power.
Yeah, as if it's the power of the decision. Like you think you have no, you have no power. You have nothing. So there's actually a study. I'm reading this. The Personality is Impermanent by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. There was a study where there was this. I think it was like a group home for elderly kind of thing. One had like schedule. This is when they eat. This is what they eat. This is what's happening. There's another group had the choice of what they want to eat, when they want to eat, what activities, what they want to color to paint, all that stuff. They gave them the opportunity to choose, to have the choice. They lived longer than these people did because they felt like they're just powerless. It's like, I'm just here. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing to people. When I say depression, I need people to stop saying, I have depression. You're depressed, you're in depression, because that's just the noun for it, right? But that's not the cause. You can't just blame depression, because what does that mean to you? Nothing, right? Oh, I've been dealing with, and people actually say this like this, I've been dealing with depression since like 2014. And I'm like, what do you mean? So you've never been happy on all that time? It just doesn't? Depression is just an emotional response. It's a stress response, right? When someone passes away, when something happens, when you have a bad perspective, and it all stems from a bad perspective, it evolves. First you stop complaining, you're complaining about Monday, complain about your relationship, then anxiety, and then depression, and then, alcoholism, drug abuse, suicide is all the way here. But that is just an evolution of your mental state. It's just like your physical health. You don't just become, you don't just become 500 pounds out of nowhere, right? You didn't see that when it was 200 pounds? You didn't see that? How the hell did you get to 500 pounds? It's not on purpose. It's not on purpose. And it evolves. But people don't see the mental health part like physical health because you can't see it. Mental health is something you want to cater to today. You want to change your perspective today. You want to make decisions today. You don't go to the gym when you're 500 pounds. You go today, like today. Like it's always better today, not tomorrow, not when you're only 50 pounds overweight, even 2 pounds overweight. It's always better now. But with mental health, it's the same thing. You have to do something about it right fucking now. All right, you're not suicidal. But doesn't mean you don't need it. Like, that's insane for you to think that you're immune to potential suicidal tendencies. Watch, everyone, freaking your whole family gets taken away. Oh, you think you're just going to be like, no, I'm good? Impossible. But you can't predict that. So that's really, so with depression, I always tell people this is something I learned only in the past couple of years. The cause is never a noun. It's always an action word. The result, the effect, that's the noun. Depression is the effect. The cause, I'm not sure what it is. Let's just go back to something. The cause could be, let's say, let's talk about PTSD.
For me, it was the breakup.
Yeah, let's go with the breakup.
It was a betrayal and a breakup.
Yeah, right. So let's go with that, right? So that was the cause that makes you depressed every time you think about it, because your perspective about the breakup is that you loved them and then, wasted so much time and this and that, like all of the above, all negative aspects of the whole relationship. So that was your perspective. And so now you're depressed every time you think about that. If it's the same perspective on that relationship, even today, if you kept the same perspective, but it changed, right? That's why you're good. But if you had the same one and you look back on it, yeah, that dude, he freaking did, betrayed me. You'll go back to those feelings right back because you never change your perspective on it. And a lot of people don't, so they never get out. But anyway.
Wait. I want to also leverage your example. Your perspective you had on your dad also changed because now you were looking at him as a puppy. Like the analogy you gave. And so then your perspective shifted. And for me, where I am today, my perspective also shifted. I no longer look at my ex as someone who I thought was psychopathic, but instead, no, and he wasn't, but I thought he was. I realized I had issues. He couldn't handle it anymore, and he fell in love with a woman who could be healthier for him.
Yeah.
And that made a huge breakthrough in my recovery.
And so it's always the perspective. Even people, if you're going through a breakup now, the biggest thing that I tell people, why are you sad? It's because you love them, right? And you lost them. A piece of you is gone. If you truly love them, though, that means you should want him to be happy with or without you. That's truly in love is what I'm saying. Like true love.
Ricardo, that took me 9 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just letting you know. And 9 is the karmic number, by the way. But it took me 9 years. I kind of suspected it from the beginning, but it took me 9 years to fully come full circle and accept it and let it go.
And that's the hard part. But once you change, if someone had told you that in the first, when it happened, it wouldn't have taken 9 years, right? If you knew right away, like
I'm stubborn, I'm a Capricorn.
But it gets in your brain, though. You know what I mean? Because a perspective is so different. Let me tell you, like the power of perspective, and I'll go back to the whole depression thing and why I think the free will thing. Sorry about that. I kind of went that way.
No, it's the same. It's the same perspective.
Okay.
Free will.
Okay.
So free will. Yeah.
So when I'm talking about like the perspective, because we're talking about perspective changes, right? This is the power of perspective. I don't know if I told you about this on our talk. When I was going snowboarding, we were in the glades, right? And we were in these like trees that are like 10 feet apart. And so I would go through it, with my buddies and stuff. They were much better to me. I would go through these trees like 1, 2, 3, and then like tree, poof. I'm like, oh. And then I would go down. I'm like, son of a. And it's so hard to get up in there because the snow is just, it's high in there. So you're like, your arm's going in. I'm sweating getting up. And then I get up, do it again. 1, 2, 3, tree. I'm like, what the I gotta get up again. And then I'm just like, what the hell? My friend, after it's happened a couple of times, he, sprays me or whatever. And just like, thanks. He goes, dude, you all right? Because he thought I like hit a tree, just in case and he was just like, and then I told him like frustrated. I go, dude, how do you do this? Like, how do you guys do this? And, they've been snowboarding forever. You know what this is what he says. He says, dude, stop looking at the trees. Look at the path between the trees. And then he leaves. And I'm thinking like, dude, right. It's not the 15 years of snowboarding that you did or anything, right? No, nothing like that. So I'm just like, what the hell have I got to lose? So I got up and I'm like, all right, don't look at the trees, path between the trees. And you see it. You go, oh, there it is. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, skirt. And I'm like, what? No way. I didn't get any better in 0.5 seconds. The weather didn't change. The trees definitely didn't freaking move. What happened there? The only thing I changed was my perspective. Same environment. And all I said was like, yo, just look at the path between the trees. And now I always use that as my go-to when you have that, the goal, the purpose, it's on the other side and you just got to follow the path. That's your purpose, right? Is the path. And everything else becomes invisible. Everyone is in this avoidance thing. Like after your breakup, I don't want someone that's like this, or like this. And then boom, the third tree. And then the job, I want to make sure it's this and this and this. And then boom, another one. When you just look at the path, the dudes that aren't right for you disappear. You don't even, the friends that are no good for you, they disappear. They're like, just like, nah, I'm good. And then you just see this one dude and you're like, I like this one. Yeah, here's my phone number. There you go. It just in line. Same thing with your job, same thing with what you're doing. It just kind of makes sense. And all it is, power of perspective, and that's it. So anyway, I want to change people's perspective with mental health. When people say it's depression, don't fucking believe it. It's the cause has to be a verb. What's causing the depression? So when you mentioned before, it was you can't even say it was the breakup because that's a noun. The breakup doesn't. Nope, that ain't it. What is causing you to be depressed? It makes me feel because of the betrayal and this, it really just tears me up and this. Now it's a verb. Okay, got it. So you're saying the breakup was doing this and this to your feelings and stuff. That's why you're depressed. Now let's talk about that. If more people would just do it that way, they'll learn what to work on. Because if you had said that to me today, 10 years later, like, what's wrong with you? My depression, people just go, oh, you have that too? But if you said like, oh man, I just can't seem to let go of my freaking boyfriend that did this betrayal. That was 10 years ago. Like, I've been dealing with depression for 10 years. Like, you want to let go of that soon or no? Like, it becomes a different story when you actually say what the cause was, right? When you just go PTSD, oh, anxiety. What does that do? I have anxiety. So there was this one guy I talked to. I'm like, let's talk about this. What causes you to be anxious? He said, when I'm, driving, I go, everyone drives. What's giving you anxiety? I don't know. When I get in the back of a car, I feel like I'm going to get into an accident. Now we're getting somewhere. So every time you're behind the wheel, you think you're going to crash into someone or something and die? That gives anyone anxiety when you have that perspective. See, it always goes back to that. Now you have anxiety. Not, I have anxiety. Well, I guess now I'm going to think that I'm going to crash. That's not how it works. It doesn't go, when you were going through it, oh, I have depression. well, I guess now I'm going to feel like he betrayed me for like 10 years. Like, that's not how it works. Depression, anxiety, and happiness, these are all just emotional responses, effects. That's just the result. The depression is just the result of your perspective, of how you see things, and that's how you're taking it. No one fucking walks around and goes, oh, dude, I've been freaking dealing with happiness since like 2012.
You are
Like,
spot on, Ricardo. You are spot on with that.
right?
Yeah. We should say it more often. Like, hey, I'm dealing with happiness right now.
Well, same thing with you depressed people. Like, what, you've never been happy? Stop. Like, stop it. It's all in your mind. It's just an emotional response to your perspective. That's it. The thing is, you have to ask yourself, all right, now what? Fucking powerful words, man. This is where this comes in. How much time do we have? Are we good?
We're good. We're good. Okay, I want to hone in on that. I like what you said about now what? Cuz now is the operative word. We have control of now. We only have control of now. Present.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Yep. So, let me tell you the story. I was having a really shitty day. Complaining like crazy to my wife. This sucks, and this business and this web developers never do anything, and then I'm not gonna make it. You know, I'm just like, this is some bullshit. I hate it. I started feeling better, and I'm like, whew. And then she goes, you'll be all right, dude. You're the man. You're awesome. Skirt. Every fucking bad emotion came right back, and I was like, why am I pissed off again? Only because I was aware of it. And I'm going, why would I feel this way? What? So I told her, I go, yo, babe, I was actually feeling better when I was like telling you and letting it all out and stuff. And as soon as you said that, it went back. Like it went back. Weird. It's weird. I know. And I go, I knew there was nothing in her bones that meant the wrong thing. She meant well. But I was just telling her, like, don't do that. Next time, just hug me, I think. Just don't even say anything. Just hug me up or whatever. Like, that would be better than you doing what you did. And that's when I realized, I'm like, but why would I feel that way? When someone tries to motivate you, when you feel like that, when you had your breakup, they became fucking annoying. But they're trying to do a good thing. But why? Like, why?
You're so right.
And here's why. And what I learned was that because I'm, the analytical shit again. I go, why would I do that? What? She was trying to help me. It's because it felt like you didn't listen to a word that I freaking just said. I said my life sucks and this and that and this. But when you say, well, now what? What that does is it tells you I listened to all your bullshit. Like, all right, your boyfriend was mean, your betrayal, and he did this to you, and he's psychopath and this. Got it. All right, so now what? If I just stop there and shut up, you're going to go, I don't know. It goes from why me to solution mindset. Now what? It goes, well, I guess I'm going to have to just learn to let him go. Like, I guess I'm just going to. So that's something I learned, and I actually changed my wristbands to say that. It actually says right now, this is the old one. It says take risks, and where's the other one? It says take risks and live life. The motto for the clothing, at least I thought this, is, our mission is to inspire people to live life without regret and accept challenges worth the risk. Because I thought, fuck it is something you say to move forward, right? It's always an action word. Something about the past. Usually it's the regrets, right? So the regrets from the past. So live life without regret. So that was simple. That was easy because there's two ways to say fuck it. Fuck it from something like letting go, or fuck it, I'm going to go forward, like I'm going to charge. So it became, the other one was, I knew it was something worth the risk. My friend helped me out with this. And I go, like, something like the challenges that are worth the risk. Because you don't do it if you don't say fuck it, you go fuck that. Like, So I'm like, why did they say fuck it? I'm like, oh, it has to be worth the risk. And he said, no, it's accept the challenges that are worth the risk. And I go, what do you mean? The challenge is set in front of you. Kind of what you're talking about, free will. The choice is right there. It's right there. Do you accept it or not? That's when you say, fuck it. It's right there. And so that's kind of like how the brand, the whole decision thing, it was supposed to be like, to live life without regret. And so I just kind of shortened it up, live life, take risks. But then I looked at it, I'm going like, shit, this is also just like all the positive words, quotes, I mean. It's just a suggestion. I hope you do it. I don't know if you will. It's a lot better when you ask a question because it comes from you. No one likes to be told what the fuck to do. So when I say now what, instead of going like, well, you should really find a boyfriend. You should really fuck him. That doesn't work, right? Because why? I'm telling you, like, and you just keep going back. Go like, oh, I don't know, I can't help it. Because we won't let you the option to execute the free will, to let it come from you. No one likes it. So when you ask it as in a question, it's more powerful because then you just go. So my thing now, when someone's really bad place, just listen. And I say, wow, from your, not mine, from your perspective, that sucks. You're right. Man, your dad was like that and this to your mom and whew, wow. So now what? All of a sudden it comes from you like, well, I guess I just have to learn that, that I don't really need this. And then you go from there. So now mine says, it says, now what? You come up with the solution mindset, the answers, and then it says, why not? Once you figure out the now what, why not? That's the next step. Now that's when you ask yourself that and you already found the solutions. Well, I guess I got to do this. I got to, all right, why not? Nothing. I don't know. I guess let's start tomorrow. Shit. So that's kind of where that comes in. And I'm hoping everyone's taking this in because this is what the doctors and all these people are doing, right? They're fucking up your perspective on mental health. So, like I said before, depression is not the cause, right? People believe in a placebo effect, how it can help you, right? But people kind of don't really talk about the nocebo effect. When someone tells you you're a loser and you believe it, when a doctor tells you you're going to die in 6 months and they actually die in 6 months, not because of cancer, not because of anything else. There's these studies that like, he shouldn't have died, but he did. Because the doctor said, well, he's got 6 months. And your mind is that strong. Read Mind Over Medicine. This freaking doctor studied the placebo and nocebo effects like crazy. She was a doctor. She doesn't believe in that stuff. So she questioned it like crazy, but she tried to prove herself wrong, So anyway, people have to understand that it's not the reverse. And they're telling you this. How remember I said like we latch on to excuses when you're in a bad mindset? So imagine someone PTSD, military, let's go with that, right? Oh, actually, no, let's stick with you because everyone's kind of into that, right? You were depressed and stuff like that, like, oh man, that sucks. Here's some pills, in which I believe you went through and you just luckily didn't react well to them.
Yeah, thank
right?
God. Yeah, my body had rejected it.
Good thing.
My body's smarter than me.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's their solution to it, right? Was to remedy the result. The depression was the result, so here's the solution. It just remedied the result, not the cause, because if you still have the same perspective, it's going to keep coming back. That's why people don't fall off the wagon. They never fell off. They just kind of park for a minute. That's all. But you have to remember where that's coming from. So when a doctor is saying, oh, you have depression, well, you're going to have to take these pills. This nocebo effect that you're like fucked up forever, they call it a disease and all that stuff. It's like, what are you guys doing? I don't know when depression became abnormal. I don't know when.
When people started making good money off of...
Yes, actually, that is a good point. That's exactly when. Because everyone studies this, right? DABDA, the 5 stages of grief.
Yep.
You go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. Acceptance is the last stage, and that's the only positive thing out of the whole thing. Depression is the last. So when people come up to me and say they're depressed, I say, good, you're almost there. Like,
Right.
almost there. And everyone has to understand the end is always the hardest. Marathon runners, the finish line, that is not easy at the finish line. Final exams when you go to college, that's not the easiest one. So you have to understand, like, you're almost there. Don't take the pills to prevent it. It's idiotic. All it does, everyone says this all the time, alcoholics, drug abuse, to numb the pain. What the hell do you think you're doing with pharmaceutical shit? You're numbing the pain. That's it. But let me tell you about numbing the pain. Let me school you a little bit on that. I see people sometimes when we're in pain, it's a distraction. You were probably such a little bitch when you broke up with him. You didn't mean to be that way and took your friends for granted. Because the pain was distracting. It's kind of like when you have a toothache. Yo, can you get the door? Can you get the fucking door? Like, it's because of the toothache, not because you took that person for granted. So I changed my belief that people get suicidal because they took everything for granted. That's not it. They know. Robin Williams knows he's rich as fuck. Like, he knows. The pain is a distraction. It turns you into that, right? And so I picture this. I let people picture this with the PTSD and stuff in military. Let's say you broke your freaking leg. And what people do is motivate, inspire, and this, right? And they're just like, come on, you can walk it off. Come on. You know, the pain. Like, dude, it's broken. Like, you had a broken heart. Like, dude, I don't want to go out right now, dude. Like, I'm broken. No, come on, you can do it. It's annoying. So what do? Go to the doctor, get your pills, numb the pain, right? Numb the leg that's broken. Well, not the military guy. All right, I'm standing, I'm walking. Is it fixed? Is it cured? No. Well, now he's fucking walking all over this leg. Is it getting better, you think? Or getting worse? It's getting worse. It comes to the point where I can't handle the pain anymore. Even after the pills. It's going to get worse. Now I can't handle the pain anymore. And that's when they get suicidal. What you needed to say was like, dude, sit the hell down, cry your ass off, relax, because your body will heal yourself, but it has to start here or else it's never going to happen. So the problem with the pain with people like you, or like when you're going through that bad mental health, right? No one was doing the pain except you. Your boyfriend didn't come back and let me betray her again real quick. You were doing it. So when I say like the pain, let's say a toothache, the problem is you're complaining about this pain and you're going like, no, dude, it's not my fault. I don't understand. Da, da, da. But here you are with a freaking hammer. And all I can say is like, dude, so you're taking the pills because of the pain, but what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop putting that hammer in your freaking face. And then the pain will go away. You're causing your own pain. No one is causing your pain, any internal pain.
So, Ricardo, I believe there's two types of pain. There's the pain of growth, and there's the pain of stagnation. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the pills just delay it till it.
Yeah.
So that other pain is the pain of stagnation. Whereas if you didn't choose the pills and you just decided to deal, kind of rhymes, that's the pain of growth. The pain of crying, feeling, dealing.
Yeah.
Right then and there, you know? And yeah, I can definitely see that we both believe that pain is a natural part of human progress?
Not just natural, almost necessary.
Exactly.
Almost necessary. And this is the best way I can explain this. If anyone here has ever played video games or sports, the level of difficulty, does it decrease or increase when you play video games? I don't know if you play video games or
Oh,
play
I love
sports.
video games, especially watching other people on YouTube. But anyway,
Does the level of difficulty increase or decrease in your games that you play?
increase, always increase.
Right. Why do you keep playing it if it's getting harder and harder? It's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
So it's the challenge that's making you do it. Same thing with sports. It's the challenge that makes you do it. There's no satisfaction when it's easy. So, and if you watch movies, tell me any movie that you've seen that had no conflict, no struggle, nothing. It's not a movie. It's called a documentary, maybe. It's necessary. It actually required for you to have an interesting movie or life. And that's how I refer to it as the game of life. I don't know why, when it comes to our lives, we tend to think every time there's an obstacle, it's actually making our life more fulfilling, more interesting, more of this, everything. And your breakup made you love a little bit better, things like that, right? That's if you learn. But that's like playing video games and you keep dying in this one area, but you keep doing the same thing. Well, you're an idiot, because you're not learning. Because imagine seeing a movie, take out all the conflict. It's not the same movie anymore. It's stupid now. Take away all the struggle. Kind of like your life. If you told me so I was born, right? Then I got a job and then I died. It's because let's shift back to the physical. When someone is trying to prevent diabetes, no one is going around, hey kids, eat whatever you want, anything you want. I know how to look for symptoms of diabetes, so we should be good. That's stupid, right? You're going no, that's not what you do at all. You tell them to exercise, eat their vegetables and all that stuff. Yeah, then why aren't you doing that for your mental health? Why do you think diabetes, insulin, what's the cause? Diabetes, not the sugar, nothing like that. It was that didn't cause, the diabetes is the cause. See what happens? It's the noun, right? Oh, it's diabetes is the cause. You need insulin is the cure. No, stop eating sugar and carbohydrates and all of that stuff. That is true prevention. Any kind of prevention is proactive all the time, not sometimes, all the time. So that is what's happening in this freaking mental health, is they're going oh, noun, depression, here's a pill. That's not prevention at all. That's not even curing anything. You're actually doing nothing. It may help you temporarily, kind of like diet pills. And it's funny, if you look at obesity and all that stuff, physical form, right? People will always say, and what's funny is everyone knows diet, exercise, everyone. It's not a secret, not a secret. Exercise and diet, prevention of obesity.
Simple yet hard.
Why does it still happen?
Yeah.
Because the cause was actually because I just went through a fucking breakup. Leave me alone. I want to eat. I'm depressed as hell. Now you're gaining weight. It actually stemmed from your mindset. That's why you're eating so much. That's why you're not exercising. So that was actually the cause. And that's why I always say, look for the cause, man. Not the result. You're only looking at the result. Obesity. What does that do? Absolutely nothing. Right? Isn't that stupid when I told you oh, diabetes, insulin. It sounds so stupid, but that's what, 1 out of 4 people in the UK are taking antidepressants. 1 out of 4. antidepressants. For what? For a natural response because of your perspective? Change your perspective. Get the damn hammer off your face and figure that out, because no one is causing you misery. No one. Every time it's internal. Every time.
By the way, you call it perspective. Here at the Love Story, we call it a story. Basically, a tragedy
Yeah,
or
that makes sense.
a
That makes
tragedy
sense.
or a divine comedy. So it's like
That makes sense.
what you were before, that's your tragedy. Tell it, because depression, we believe, is suppressed expression. Suppressed expression. You're not showing your feelings, you're numbing it out, you're hiding it, you're dismissing it, you're pretending it's not there when it
Yeah.
actually is.
Actually, great point. One thing that I've learned, when people get these trauma, so we're always evolving as people. This Minji was definitely not the same Minji 10 years ago, right? Even 5 years ago. We're always evolving. Trauma actually accelerates the evolution of your personality, perspectives. There's always something messing around with your mindset, right? That's why it's like diet. It's a constant thing you work on forever. It doesn't stop. And you're always changing. And when there's something trauma happens, and when people get into depression and all that stuff, they're trying to prevent that change, that evolution. And that's why they're paying, like, no, I want to stay as that person that was happy with that boyfriend, though. Yeah, that's gone, though. No, it's not gone. I can do it. I can get him back. I know it. He's going to change. He's not going to be a dick anymore. And you just stay in this. You won't change. It's like, dude, you have to change. Like, especially after a trauma, you're a whole new different person now. Like, that's what happens. But you won't accept the change. You won't go for it. So you're going through the pain of it, and you're taking these drugs to keep you there. But it's like, fuck. If you had just allowed yourself to evolve, because you're always evolving, your personality, your perspectives, your insight, you get more wisdom. Obviously, trauma can also affect you. Like, your personality changes from the things that you experience, not because what you think you are.
Let me add to that. Let me add to that on trauma.
Yeah.
Earlier, you brought up the video game analogy.
Yeah.
Trauma is just repeating the same level to the same boss until you figure out where the exit door is, until you figure out how to defeat that boss. Trauma is repeated memories that won't go away. I call it ghosts haunt until they are heard. So it's almost like the trauma, and I also look at it like karma. Like, when we think karma, we think about like Groundhog's Day, like the same similar things, similar situations happening over and over again, right?
Yeah.
But what can, like, this goes back to free will again, or perspective.
Yeah.
Or a decision. Once you make a decision to do something different, once you pivot, you have effectively defeated the boss in that level. You shifted what you called the perspective, what we call the story, and then we exit to the next level.
Right. Yeah. And that's really what happens. It's like, you're going to love the book, Personality is Impermanent. It's so in line with all this stuff. The reason he studied personality is impermanent, people don't understand that you're constantly changing. Your personality is malleable. People say, like, oh, I'm an introvert. Oh, I'm always this way. And he's just like, you're just saying that because it's actually not true. Everyone can change. And it's funny, one of the, there's different aspects of it that made sense. It's like, that's why the purpose is so important. With a sense of purpose, you just want to achieve it. Elon Musk almost lost all of his money, but he just had this purpose. He had to keep going. With my clothing line, I just kind of have this purpose, and I didn't give a fuck when I should have quit, but I didn't. And like, why? Why didn't I? You just have this purpose, And he was saying, when you're given the choice, you're always inclined to get away from pain and go towards pleasure. If I ask you, what would you like to do? No one goes, you know what? I want to spend 20 hours just working on a book and really struggling to just get the word out about it. And like, you don't think about the negatives or the positives. You just think about your purpose. And that was really cool. And that's what kind of, he makes it important because you're always changing. Your purpose changes you. Your experiences, your this is what creates the personality. Another analogy, when I hear the word lost, I always say like, so when you get lost, when you're driving, you just kind of put it in park because that's what you're doing right now. And they're like, no. Yeah, so why are you doing that? First question, where are you going? Where are you going? You're putting it in park, but you don't even know where you're going. That's the purpose. Why are you going there? Right? Perspective is the direction. Well, it's around that way. Well, then go that way. You know what I mean? You may not get there as quick as you had hoped because you didn't figure out where you wanted to go in the first place. But just like your GPS is saying, reroute, dude, reroute.
Yeah.
So you back up, you may have to go backwards for a minute because you took the wrong turn. You didn't know because you weren't thinking. You didn't have a purpose. Perspective was shot. So your perspective went this way. Well, shit. All right, now I know where I'm going. You have to now go back. So you may take a lot longer getting where you are. But now you know. All roads are connected. There's a way to get there. Same thing with your purpose. There's a way to get there. I don't know what it is. Everyone's path is different.
Right.
No one has the same path. And then all of a sudden, you just start driving, you start going there. And that's how you get your purpose. That's how you figure it out. And then purpose always changes. And you have different purpose for so many things.
What is your purpose behind Start Day One?
Well, the purpose is to change people's perspectives, to really hopefully just get them to start day one. Whatever I got to do to change your perspective so you can start day one. That's like the mission. Because from there, I don't know where you're going to go, but I know it starts there. I know it starts there. I don't know where you're going to end up, but day one, day two, day three, you have more chances than not. Because if you don't start, guaranteed, it's nothing. And the only way you're really going to do that, and the best way for me, everything that we're talking about, all we're doing is helping people change their perspectives on what their issue is. But all this is bullshit unless you make a decision about it. All of it. Every book, everything, useless. Make a decision about what you're going through, because until you do that, you just watched a cute little video. That's it. So you really have to decide. So that's kind of the thing with Start Day One. Like, dude, we just really want to change people's perspective. And I wish I could, that's why I'm doing this with you, right? Like, dude, I want more people to hear because it's the only way they're going to change their perspective. And that's what we're doing. We raise money just so we can send speakers because I can't do it all on my own. I know I can't. And there's this different level when you have a personal connection. It's hard through here. But when someone can go to a school, a military base, a rehab center, so we raise money so you don't have the damn excuse like, oh, it's not in our budget. It's free. It's free. We're sending Minji there at 2:00. So go ahead and put that in the schedule. That'd be grand. And so that's what we do with Start Day One. We're hoping that we have because we have a very different approach. We have a proactive approach, not reactive. We're trying to prevent the diabetes. We're trying to prevent the mental health. You do that proactively, not reactively, and say, hey, Minji, call me when you're suicidal. Not an alcoholic. I said suicidal. Drug abuse, that's that department over there. I said suicidal. It's insane, right?
Yeah, totally. It's all interwoven. It's all layered and complex. Yeah.
And I get it. It's like, they save lives with the phone calls. I get it. Cool. Awesome. But man, if prevention means proactive.
Okay. Do you mind me interjecting and seeing something even deeper? I believe your purpose behind Start Day One is so that a brother, a sister, a lover, a mother, a father can never ever experience the pain of losing a family member the way you did.
Yeah, it makes sense. I want people to be able to achieve self-actualization. By doing that, suicide is just a tree. You don't even think about suicide at all. Like you don't even think about it. It's not even in your thing. You're going to start businesses. You're going to do this. So this whole idea of just like, and that's why sometimes I don't want to say like, oh, suicide prevention. You know, oh, like this is motivation. This is inspiration. That's just for suicide prevention. That's all that is.
Right,
People think suicide prevention is call me when you're suicidal. Like no, prevention is start here when you're complaining about Monday, not here.
That's right. That's why our organization has pivoted. We don't even mention, we briefly mention suicide prevention, but if you look at our
Yeah,
website, it's all
yeah,
pain to purpose, heart
yeah. Which is
expression.
good.
Just focus on, like you said, the clear path while you're carving.
Exactly. When you do that, but the thing is, as an organization, to tell people, you know, like suicide prevention, but it's like they take it the wrong way because of what people say out there. Always trying to remedy the result. Like, oh, so you have like a hotline? No, no, no. There's no hotline. When that happens, oh, I send it to those guys. You know, like that's not my boat. I'm not a
We're
doctor,
the
dude.
Marine.
You know,
We're the Marine. We're the front line.
we're going in, right?
Yeah, we're going in.
We're going in, and that's what I said. You know, with actually, I used to say that about my clothing line. They would say like, "Oh, who do you donate to?" I'm like, "We don't. We're like the front lines. Like, we're going out here, saving lives before they even call. Like, they want to receive a call from who I just talked to. Not today.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Not today.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you so much for your time. This has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Awesome talking to you again.